Do you think you could have done that heights challenge? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How y'all doing? All right, so we made it to episode 2 of season 38 of The Amazing Race. So, in this episode, the teams are headed to Prague and they're leaving Amsterdam. And it's just funny too. I was just in Amsterdam this summer, and just to see the train station, and like I know where that is, and that train station is a little bit, complex, or it's just not really straightforward. So it's just good to see places that you just been. It's like I know exactly where that is. Now, I had a question about them traveling via train. So I know if you're leaving certain countries, you have to go through like specific, maybe an immigration line or passport control. So I'm like, how are they navigating this on this race? Because that could possibly take up some time, right? Anyway, the first group, which was Jazz and Jag, and like I forgot what the other teams were that were with them initially, but they all end up getting off at the wrong stop, which is easy to do because the names are they're very similar and sometimes like hard to pronounce, and it just it's very it could be potentially confusing if you're not paying attention, because I almost got off at the wrong stop going into Amsterdam from London. I was about to get off one stop early, just like they did. So you really have to pay attention to the name of the stop and where you are supposed to get off. But Jazz and Jag and two other teams were able to rebook themselves. So instead of getting in at, I believe it was 9:23 a.m., they got in like 8 something a.m. So they did have it was actually ended up working out for them. So yeah. So they had the heights challenge this episode where they had to go up really high and walk off this little ledge thing and pull up the clue. And I was like, oh my gosh, amazing view, but very scary. And we saw that a few of the teams, they struggle with it. And, watching Angela, watching her baby walk out there, I can only imagine, like, yeah. But surprisingly, what was his name? I wrote it down. Matt. He struggled the most with it, I believe, which I didn't anticipate him struggling with that because he's just such a wild and free spirit. But I mean, the problem with their team, Matt and Megan, is you have to pay attention to the details. You have to be structured, and I don't think they have that going for them. They actually said it during the episode, so I think that is definitely working against them. And they always, as we saw at the end of this episode, end up pulling up the rear because you got to really pay attention to details and just be a thinker. So the detours this episode, one was when you could deliver stuff, so you had to pay attention to detail and then deliver those items to 3 different locations. And then the other side of the detour, or is it called a detour or a roadblock? I can't remember. But where this one where they get to choose. And so the other side of that was memorizing names and difficult names, and then having to recite that. I would never choose anything where I had to one worry about remembering stuff because perimenopause got me struggling through this video at this current moment. So I wouldn't have chosen anything with memory or having to pronounce those difficult names and terms. So I would have chosen the one where you just had to pay attention to detail and to just navigate to these different places. So at the end of this episode, we saw that Jazz and Jag once again came in first place. Right now, they are the team to beat. They are smart. They are strong, which is tends to be a winning combo. But anything can happen in the Amazing Race because you never know what the roadblocks or detours is something somebody's just not their thing that day, and anything can happen. So even though they are still the team to beat, there we could anything's possible. And then Angela and her daughter were the ones that came in last place, and they were eliminated from the race. All right, if you watched this episode of The Amazing Race, what were your thoughts? Who do you predict winning or taking it all? For people who just know things, please don't put spoilers in the comments because in the previous video somebody said about something about them knowing something. Don't do that, okay? I don't want to have to block anybody for doing stuff like that. So no spoilers or anything like that. Said I have to say that. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and I'll chat with you guys in the next one. Peace.